Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/legal advice. Neighbors entrusted me with looking after their pet/house for 3 weeks. It has been almost a year now, and they haven't come back. Today their basement flooded, and I have no idea what to do. In June 2019, my neighbors came to my door. I had some experiences with them. They invited us for a barbecue not long after they moved in. They asked me and my wife if we would look after their pets and their house for the next 3 weeks, as they needed to return to Taiwan as his mother was dying. They even left me $500 for food for their 2 German shepherds and their cat. I don't know what happened to them, but they just never came back. I don't know if they ended up in some sort of prison or decided to just not come home at all. Today I found out their basement had flooded, probably sometime within the last week. Apparently a pipe burst, but the entire basement is completely effed. I paid for having the leak fixed, and I spent all of today using my shop vac to drain their basement to the best of my abilities. Between this and one of their dogs needing surgery, I've spent several $1,000s of my own money, and frankly the damage to the basement was pretty awful. I don't have their insurance paperwork and don't really know if I can even do a claim for them. On top of this, his 2 giant German shepherds, while they are amazingly good boys, it is becoming almost too much for us to handle. Their last name is extremely common, and their Facebook profiles are private, which gives me very little avenue to tackle this down. Timeline. June 7th, 2019, neighbors asked me if I would look after their pets and their house while they were handling the death of his mother back in Taiwan, told me 3 weeks at latest. July 1st, 2019, neighbors sent me an email stating they needed some additional time to handle his father's affairs. He apologized and said he would be back by July 15th at the latest. July 21st, 2019, sent him an email asking what was going on, explained how we were going on vacation in August, never got a response. July 31st, 2019, tried calling him on his cell phone, the number he gave to me was no longer in service. August 14th, 2019, went on vacation, had my brother look after all 4 dogs for the next week. September 2nd, 2019, emailed him again, no response. September 3rd, 2019, tried to reach him and his wife via Facebook using the private message feature. September 6th, 2019, ended up moving his 2 dogs, 1 cat, into our house as they seemed extremely miserable. I ended up disassembling part of our adjoined fence to allow his dogs to use their outdoor area. November 19th, 2019, one of his dogs started showing signs of being ill. Brought him to the vet. Turns out he is suffering from a medium severity case of IVDD. He ended up requiring surgery, which we paid for. January 21st, 2020, sent another email and never got a response. Today, when I was bringing his mail into the house, I noticed it smelled pretty awful, and I quickly discovered his basement had about a foot of water in it. Questions. What exactly is my level of responsibility in this? I agreed to look after it for a few weeks or a couple of months at the most. It has almost been a year now. Is there anything I can do? Location is Ontario, Canada. Sorry, some other points. I am assuming they have some sort of auto payment for bills set up, because they still have hydro/cable/internet. I'm unsure where exactly the husband worked. I know he said he was an engineer, however, I cannot find his LinkedIn profiles, so I don't know what company. Their last name is a very common name, common like Wong, which gives me tons of Facebook results. Report the people missing. Right? My initial thought when they said they were emailed that they needed a bit more time when they went AWOL made me wonder if they died. If they had no intention of returning, they could have just said something came up and we can't come back, please keep or find a home for my pets. Especially if they own a house there. Why wouldn't they hire someone to sell it if they weren't returning? Exactly. And even if by some freakish turn of events, they were wealthy enough that they would just up and leave a property, they certainly wouldn't keep paying to keep the utilities on. I'm surprised this is the only comment here saying this. It might be abandonment, but it could also be that something happened and they are dead or stranded in Asia. Right? No contact for months, and I doubt they just forgot they owned a house and dogs. I would also add that if there is no one in the home, it would be prudent to go ahead and shut off the main water and, weather permitting, gas valves. This would eliminate any chance of future leaks and possibly worse. Honestly, it sounds like something bad might have happened to them. I would go to the police as soon as possible. It's been almost a year. No one under normal circumstances would leave their home and dogs to be looked after by neighbors they barely know. Do you know whether they are Canadian or Taiwanese citizens? If they are Canadian, maybe you can try contacting the Canadian Embassy in Taiwan. Property tax records would have their full names, assuming they own. You should contact the police and tell them what is going on. I know their full names, it is just that their last name is extremely common and their Facebook profile is private, so I have no idea who is related to them. I will contact the police tomorrow, thanks. Contact the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Canada, that is their embassy. They can find out what happened. Is there a way you can look around their house and find some paperwork or even a business card to find out the company he or she works for? It would be a good idea to talk with a lawyer. Give him the lowdown on what's going on. You want to be able to cover all your bases so they can't possibly turn around and sue you for something or other. Everyone's given you some great practical advice. I am not a lawyer, but one thing I would add is that even if you're getting no response, continue to send email updates to your neighbors. It'll keep a paper trail of your attempts to contact them and may help if you end up taking them to small claims court for the money you've spent whilst they've been away. It may be worth enabling read receipts on these emails. This will at least tell you and the police if they're reading and ignoring your messages, or if they're not being read at all, which may point at something more sinister having taken place. If not done so already, I would also start collating bills, bank statements, correspondence with vets and plumbers which show the money you have spent on their property and animals. Make a note of any maintenance work you've done to keep the property in order, such as gardening or use of your shop vac. How long have you spent doing this? What dates this has been done on? Have you had to purchase additional supplies to complete the basic maintenance? I would also include copies of any email contact you had or continue to have with them. Having this organized and in one binder now will put you in a good position later on and maintain a clear timeline. Good news. I followed everyone's advice, reaching out to the police and the embassy, explained the situation, and gave them a bunch of information. Tonight, I got a phone call from them explaining they just decided to stay much longer and spend time with family and friends. They apparently asked his wife's brother to come and collect the animals and get the key a long time ago back in August, but never followed up on it. He apologized and said he was sorry. He gave me two options and asked if I wanted to keep his pets since I have had them for so long, or he will push his stepbrother to get the animals. Apparently the animals don't really mean anything to him or his wife, which I feel is quite crappy. He apparently can no longer access his email and passed me along a new email address and phone number I can use to contact him, but told me he doesn't have plans to return to Canada anytime soon. I mentioned the water damage and he's just said that they can buy a new house or get it fixed when they get back. He was also quite confused and somewhat annoyed about the lengths we went to get in touch with him. He didn't understand why we reached out to the embassy. He then offered to send me a bunch of money to square away the inconvenience, and that was more or less it. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, however, I feel kind of ticked off at how little he and his wife seem to care about the pets or his house. Anyways, me and my wife are going to keep the pets simply because, well, I don't think either of us can part with the dogs and his cat at this point. Imagine being rich enough to casually be like, we'll fix it or just buy another house. Like, what the crap? But yeah, that is really weird, and also, I would care enough about my home, and like, even just a sensible human being, even if you have a lot of money, wouldn't you care if your brother-in-law or whoever actually came to get, like, the animals, or like, get the house key and stuff like that? Like, what the heck? So that was like super shady, but at least they're okay. At least everything is alright, and it sounds like you're not gonna have a problem really getting any sort of money out of them. It sounds like they're pretty used to throwing money at issues. That's kind of an interesting thing there. Maybe they inherited some more money or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad nothing horrible happened to them and that everything has been figured out, and now you have 2 German Shepherds, I guess. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really quickly, I'd like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy K's. Thank you all so much for supporting me in that way. If you're interested in becoming a patron, checking out the original post links from today's video, or contacting me via email for possible inclusion in a future video, all of that information is in the description box, so be sure to check it out. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!